Hi there. Good morning. This is Catherine from Sunnyside Journals. Just going to do a little visit this morning. It's a beautiful day in my neighborhood. um, Up here on the north shore of Lake Ontario. It's the heat has finally broken and it's glorious. This is the summer weather I remember. I'm not enjoying what's happening to our weather. Not enjoying it, that puts it mildly. It actually terrifies me. I worry what's in store for my grandchildren and my great-grandchildren. But for today, living in the moment, today is a beautiful day. And I just thought I'd visit for a little bit before I get started on some work. I apologize ahead of time if Dot, my dog, barks. She loves to lay at the front door and watch children and people walking by. And I don't know why she decides which ones need to be yipped at and which other ones are okay to keep going on their way. But anyhow, so if she barks, apologies. So I promise I am done with these. I really do get distracted. I have a hard time. I find, fortunately, I have the time to be distracted. I have a hard time staying on task, and I find that I need to break up big projects by doing little things in between and then go back to the big project. Right now, my big project is this big beauty, and I'm really enjoying working on her, and I'm loving how she's coming along. So she's my, not sure why she's a she, but anyhow, she's my task today, is to start making her interior as beautiful as her exterior. So these are done for the time being. I've done as many as I can. I still have a few more books in my stash, but they're going to stay there because I could keep doing these forever. And so these are the double-sided ones. I finished these up last night after I turned off my camera. So they're going to go in there. Now I've already lost my lid for this. Oh, here it is. All right, now I can close you up later. There we go. I thought I'd share something I was working on yesterday in between things. This is a book that I got on the thrift hauling that we did while we went camping. When my husband stole me away to some thrift stores in some little towns. We went to Trenton, Ontario. And I think there's a Trenton everywhere. I think every province, state is named after the original Trenton. Anyhow, we have Trenton, Ontario, and it's actually a very pretty town. I'm not sure if it's a city. I could be wrong, but it's very, very pretty. And it has the Trent River running through it, and it has an Air Force base, Canadian Air Force base there. My father actually stayed there for a long time while he was training. He was in the RCAF during World War II. He was a wireless air gunner. Anyhow, we went to Trenton because they had several thrift stores that were open on a Monday. Sometimes, I don't know about areas where you live, sometimes our thrift stores, because they're open on a Saturday, they'll stay closed Sunday and Monday. But Trenton, and we went to a little town called Colborne, Ontario. They also had a thrift store that was open on the Monday. I wanted to go to one in Brighton. Yes, we've got a Brighton, Ontario as well. And I know that there's a Brighton in the United States. Is it Brighton Beach? Where would that be? One of you will tell me, because I've actually even been there. I should remember, but I was a child when we went to Brighton Beach. And I know that there's, of course, the famous one, Brighton, in England. Anyhow, I went to Brighton, Ontario, which is a beautiful, beautiful little town as well. But Brighton's thrift store was closed. It was Monday, and they actually are only open Wednesday through actually Sunday, I think it said on the door. And then it's closed Monday, Tuesday. Anyhow, and I get that. People need to have a day off. When I worked in a hair salon, I loved it when I worked in salons that were closed Sunday and Monday so that I could get a weekend, 2 days together. It makes a difference when you can get time off, 2 days in a row time off. Anyhow, I'm wandering again, as usual. Apologies. I found this massive book in the Salvation Army in Trenton. I paid $1.50 for it. It's not old. It's huge. A Gardener's Journal by Lee Valley. That's quite a popular supplies, crafting supplies and carpentry and, well, all kinds of amazing household things. I'm doing a commercial for Lee Valley now. Oh, anyhow, this book, turns out it is a 10-year, out of the way, McDonald's. This book is a 10-year, let me get that in camera, 10-year journal, diary for gardeners. So they can lay out the garden and they can, so all the different years, and decide what they're planting where. And then it starts going into planting, harvesting, and it's all good for 10 years. And then it has these pages that have the 10 years, and then you can write in, you can circle what the weather was that day, the high temperature, the low temperature, and you can literally keep track of what you're growing in your garden. And there's a page for every day. And the cool thing about it, I already got into it. You might see here, I've already attacked it with my cool little seam ripping X-Acto blade that I shared with many of you, with the curved tip, so that I can get in there easily and split open sewn in signatures. So I would, I'm not going to do it now, but I will do a little, explain what I do. It's got a curved tip on it. I bent it slightly, carefully away from me so that if it broke, because they break very easily. There we go. If you can see, it's been sewn. And then you just slide your little tip underneath and snap it open. And you can pull out these full, beautiful, look at those little illustrations of flowers and plants. And they change from month to month what the illustration is. And there's just so much room for journaling. And it's so charming because it's a calendar. So yesterday I busted it open and I started tea dyeing because it was a beautiful day yesterday as well. And as many of you know, I like to air dry my tea dyed paper. I find that it dries flatter. And look how nicely these turned out. I'm so excited by how they took. Some paper takes better to tea dyeing than others. Some paper just falls apart. Some paper gets brittle. I don't know whether it's the tannins. A scientist could tell me what it is, but some paper, it just starts getting crackly, and I find that oven drying can make that worse. So, but this paper's beautiful paper. I'm quite sure I could put it in the oven. I just don't enjoy. I prefer the air dried, and then I press it down, and it takes a little more patience. But I just love the finished results. These came out just lovely. The ends are all nice and extra golden. So I'm looking forward to putting in some of these spreads into my next book. I love the size. Oh, come on, you can do it. You step together. There we go. Come on. There we go. Oh, I like what that did there. The size of this just lends itself. I can just use it in so many different books. Bigger books can be harder to fill when you're creating a journal from a bigger book. So this, I could actually trim it down and just use like that portion, or I can trim it this way and then do fold outs fold these sides to make it fit into the cover, but still use the full width. Anyhow, I thought I'd share how beautifully these turned out. So when you're looking for books, I played a bit with some plastic lace, some vinyl lace, and that turned out nicely. I'm going to have to work harder on my technique for that, but I still like that it's sort of subtle. It's just subtle there. So keep an eye out for new books that would lend themselves to using their interior, even though you wouldn't necessarily make a journal. I wouldn't necessarily make a journal out of this. It's just too huge. It would take too much paper, too much work, and I'd have to ask too much money for me to make even any kind of a tiny little teensy profit. So, but for $1.50, I can't buy that much paper for $1.50 and have it be that charming and that pre-folded. And I even like these end papers. I will make use. I'll be erasing that $1.50. I'll leave it there for now. Those little vegetables and leaves and strawberries on those end papers, I will be using those actually, I'm going to pull that out now. I have a file folder called End Papers. And because many books, no, you're not going to come out and I'm not going to waste my time. Many books have beautiful end papers. And even if you're not going to use the book to make a junk journal, the end papers can be very pretty to use in a new book that you're working on. So this baby, this is what I'm going to be working on as soon as I turn off this camera. I've got some plans for her. As I've said previously in other videos, I'm taking some inspiration from some 1940s magazines that I have. How hard the women worked here at home in North America to support our troops overseas, and how they worked the factories and they did without, so that supplies and necessary things went over to the troops, and still raising families and going to work and coming back and doing work then. And they didn't have, I throw my laundry in one machine, I throw it in the next machine to dry it, I throw my dishes in a machine. They didn't have all that. So they went to work all day and then they came home and washed their laundry often by hand and hung it the next day to dry. And sorry, I'm giving you a history lesson here, but I really, really love history. So I'm going to work on this little lady here and get her filled up with some goodies, and so that she'll be ready soon to go into my Etsy shop and go off to her new home, wherever that may be. Maybe in one of the Brightons, somewhere in the world. 340 pages in here. So she's going to, I've got a few things selected. I've got some gingham paper. I found these in a little golden book, and I thought I'm going to find somewhere to put that cute little home, because this is a happy home. And I thought that window was pretty, from, again, a golden book treasury. It was a golden book of, I think it has like 5 golden book stories in it. And then I've got some vintage recipes. These are offcuts of original pages from the book. If you recall from a previous video I did, this paper is very fragile. If I bend it, it'll crack and break. So I'm going to have to glue these onto supportive paper or cardstock to keep them usable, but I really wanted to be able to put them back into her so that she still has some of her original interior and original spirit. So, all right, I'm off to get to work on this. I hope you're enjoying whatever work you're doing today. Thanks for visiting, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.